I'm back on Dartmoor, the very beginning of November. This is my 16th camp this year. We've got Fair Tor just up over there, Tor behind me, and then the stream going down here. I'm not sure of the name of it offhand. I'll try and mark that on in the edit. You can just see, I think that's Fair Tor, Tor, although that could be the other way around of course, and Tor is in that direction. I can't quite remember which way around those go. And that's of course Tor just over there. For this trip I wanted to try my other camera, which I've brought on a few trips but not very often used. So this is the NEX6 with the 16 to 50mm lens on it. And I do have a reason for wanting to give this a try, which I'll explain either later on or in another video. Right, this is the woods just below Fair Tor, which you can't see, but it is across the bridge and up that way. The River Tavy goes just behind these trees and joins here. This is Fair Tor Brook. This is Fair Tor Brook just here. Of course, just fascinated me just for a few seconds. It's not particularly exciting, but there's water coming in this little tiny stream type thing here. It's like a give way sign on a road. It can't get out because of the fast flowing water coming down, and it seems to be just stuck there. I've left Gizzy around at my mum's and dad's again, and they're on a complete shutdown. Everything's locked, bolted, so hopefully there'll be no Gizzy Houdiniacs this time. Right, we'll have to show that to Bess. Right, we're up at Lidford Tor. That's Lidford Tor there, and Cat Hill is in that direction through there. So I think Devil's Tor is first, but then we go over Cat Hill, or towards Cat Hill, and then Fair Tor. Time is 12:40. My original plan, which I may still keep as an original plan, was to camp at the base of Fair Tor. But at this rate I'm going to get there in the next sort of hour and a half or 2 hours, which is going to be about 2:30, which is fine. But today I'm quite enjoying walking, so I may go on a little bit further today. We'll see how I feel when I get to Fair Tor. Right, this is Fair Tor here, and it's 2 o'clock, so I've made pretty good progress getting here. I'd approximately calculated it would be about 2:30, although I was aiming for 2. I was hoping I'd get here for 2, and I'd said to myself, over the other side, if I get here at 2, then I'll keep walking. And I've pretty much already made up my mind that I was going to keep going this time rather than stopping. There's still another 2 3/4 hours at least of daylight left, or before the sun goes down. So my aim now is to get over Little Kneeset, Great Kneeset, Dinger Tor, which I can just see, up over High Will Hayes, Yes Tor, and then try and make a beeline down to a camp spot that I know by the reservoir. And I can assure you it's got absolutely nothing to do with being a bit nearer the car tomorrow morning. Well, just a little bit perhaps. There's not a lot in it. Maybe 3/4 of an hour. Today, at the moment, I just feel like I just want to keep walking. And in fact, apart from doing some filming, I haven't stopped at all. I don't know what the mileage is going to be on this walk today, but I reckon it's going to be quite high. I'll try and work it out sometime, approximately. Well, this is Dinger Tor now. So, an hour and a half ago, it's 3:30 or 3. 3:30. It's 3:30. So at 2 o'clock I was on top of Fair Tor, which is the one on the horizon. So it's taken about an hour and a half, pretty much dead on an hour and a half to get here. So now I'm going to head for Yes Tor and somewhere to camp down below that by the reservoir. And of course, as you probably know this area pretty well by now, people who follow me regularly, that's Linz Tor down there and Kitty Tor on the horizon up there. I'll have to check the instructions for this microphone because there's something on the side that says low cut and normal. Well, I'm certainly not normal, so I'll have to figure out what the low cut is. It's probably, I don't know if it's anything to do with wind or anything like that. The microphone on the NEX7 doesn't have that, it just has an on and an off, and a way of varying the angle electronically of the microphone, whether it comes straight out at 90 degrees or 120 degree. This microphone, you manually adjust whether you want it at 90 degrees coming straight towards you, or if you want it at 120 degrees, you can move the microphone apart. It's one thing where Sony have been a bit awkward really, because the NEX3 and 5, which I don't have, they use one type of microphone. The NEX6, which is this, uses a different type of microphone, and the NEX7, which is one that I've normally been using, has a different microphone again. So for their series of NEX cameras, they've got 3 different mics. Right, well, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. As you can hear, it's quite blustery outside. It's quite blustery out, and it's been raining all night since about 11 o'clock. I left the Supermid door open until about 11. And because it was so blustery, it was starting to, even tied up, it was starting to flap about a lot. so I zipped it up, and then not long after that it started raining, and it's basically been raining all night, and there's been a few pretty strong gusts, so this is certainly the worst weather I've ever had out for a night. So of course I'll be able to pack up most of the stuff inside. The one thing I did forget, which is annoying because I actually put them out, were my surgical gloves for putting the shelter away, you know, so my hands don't get freezing and wet. So I'll try and remember them next time, but I did put them out. Well, that's my excuse anyway. I didn't do much filming yesterday. One, I just didn't, I don't know, maybe I wasn't quite in the mood or what, I don't know, but I had a pretty good idea that I wanted to get to here, and I knew that it was going to entail quite a lot of walking. So you know, I thought it better to keep walking rather than filming. I got here at 5 o'clock, which was about 15 minutes after sunset. So I've got some porridge on, which is just stewing there. I've turned the gas off, or not the gas, the maths. Twice I've lengthened the pole since I've been in here, once in the early hours of the morning, and again just now. I've probably raised it, the pole I'm talking about, probably about 2 inches, maybe 3. I know, I'm very lucky. Because of course silk nylon, when it gets wet it stretches, so this one was definitely on 9, and I've raised that one, that section there, and this one up here was also on 9 when I started, and it's now beyond 10, so I mean that's a good inch and a bit there, and that's probably almost an inch there. So that's helped taut it up a little bit. I suppose ideally you need to go out and retighten all the guy lines outside, but pardon the French or whatever the language is, bugger that for a lark. I slept, so a bit different this time, but it does show what a cold sleeper I am. I still brought the Mountain Laurel Designs 48 degree quilt, which theoretically in sort of English is about 8 degrees. And the temperature during the night went down to maybe 7 or 8 degrees. At the moment I believe it's about 10. But I knew I wasn't going to be warm enough, so I brought down boots, my down leggings, and then of course I slept in my down jacket top. I really just wanted to see, you know, how well it would work. And as I say, it does go to show that I'm a cold sleeper, very cold sleeper, because I was just about warm enough. I'm not one ever to take a chance or a gamble, so I've got a lightweight sleeping bag in there, which I could have used as an emergency, but I didn't need that. But if it had got a lot colder, then I probably would have added that. one of my PhD sleeping bags I've sent back to PhD to be altered, and I probably would have brought that on this trip, but it was good, you know, a good experiment to try this, and it worked fine. I tied the middle cord under the mat on each side. I did try, as I think Chad suggested, that might work, tying it up and sort of turning it into a sort of a sleeping bag, but as I moved around I was finding that the bag was moving, or the quilt was moving with me, and of course that gap was then appearing at my side as I was moving around, so that didn't work for me. So by putting it under the, securing it under the mat, that at least kept the quilt in one place, and that worked for me a lot better. And then I put some cord here like that, and then I secured that on both sides. You can see that one there, secured that one there as well. That, and then I just cinched that up so that these sides were sort of down to here on each side. And then there's a cord here, see if you see in this light, that, and then I was able to cinch that up around my neck, not literally around my neck. And you know, that does say that worked, but any colder then I would have been getting on the cool side, and I would have grabbed the sleeping bag out. But I was really tired. I had a headache when I got here yesterday. I don't know if that was through lack of water, although I drank a litre, but I did have a thumping headache when I got here. So I watched a little bit of a film, and then I just felt I just had to close my eyes. I took a couple of headache tablets, and at 11 o'clock the headache was gone, and I had another cup of tea, and so that's when I did the door up, and I had to read for a few minutes, and then I probably went back out again at about midnight, and then I think it was about 6 o'clock before I woke up again. So I certainly slept okay, and I slept through all the rain and everything. But I better check my porridge now. Right, it's just coming up to 7:30. I'm probably further behind than I've ever been, but this rain isn't exactly encouraging me to be nippy. But I have been having my porridge, but it's still quite hot. And while I've been having, or starting that, I've been getting quite warm, so it does show that internal heat is one of the best ways of keeping you warm. I haven't been doing anything, I've just been eating a bit of that, and I've suddenly gone really, really roasting. So I've taken my down top off, and I bet you never thought you'd see another bit of leg again. I bet you never thought you'd see another bit of leg again. But I was, my legs and, hello Piggy Boo, everything was getting a bit too warm. So while I was heating and eating, I've packed all the sort of the bed stuff in there. That will obviously stuff down a lot more in a minute. I can't do it up yet because I've got to put obviously the quilt in. I've got my trousers here ready to go on, and my waterproof trousers, and that's my sealskin socks there, and my liner socks, you can't see them, but they're under that. So they're going to be wet and cold, no doubt, so I don't want to put them on until the very last, you know, minute. So I'm going to have something else to eat, and then I'll see what happens next then. I don't know, I'm making this one up a bit. Mind you, that's what I do with all of these. So hopefully I'll do some more filming later.